Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all can be with us. Going to bring in our friends over on IG so they can be a part of our conversation. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. We have a returning guest. We haven't had her on the program in a while, so I'm very excited to be able to catch up. Once again, she has some new projects that you guys need to know about. One of them I have right here. We're going to talk about that. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. I'm going to type you guys in a welcome message over there. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the books by our next guest. I'm so excited to welcome back Dr. Teresa A. Smith. You know her as AKA Dr. Taz. We're going to talk to her about the start to her 2026, what it's like for her to kind of step back a bit in 2025, and what she's looking forward to. I can already tell you one thing. She has a brand new book that's out that I have my copy right here. Real Talk with Taz and Anjaya. It's based on their popular show. You guys can be able to watch that. We'll tell you more about that. We're going to talk to Taz also about what she's looking forward to this year. Taz, my friend, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Cyrus.
Look, always a pleasure. I will say, if our audience, of course, recognizes Taz, she also was a part of the year that was 2025. And for you, Taz, you could have done a whole hour special just on your year. So now that we're kicking off 2026, 2025 is in the rearview mirror.
Mm.
How does it feel to reflect on this past year and how you got to where you are today?
Thank you, Cyrus, for that question. And thank you again for having me. When I stop and think about, there are so many things that we put on our list to accomplish. And I accomplished just about everything that I wanted to accomplish last year. There
Hmm.
was one book that I didn't get done. And it's on my to-do list this year because it actually it's a cookbook. And so it really requires me to be very physical as well as creative. But I've learned based upon some of the things that I went through last year that that's okay that I didn't complete it because there's always going to be another day. And if I do what I need to do, then I can do what I didn't get done the next day. So, in other words, I had to step back because my mind, my body was telling me, you've done enough. And I
Yeah.
just could not do anymore. And so now to be in 2026 in a different headspace, in a different space physically. I'm looking forward to implementing the lessons that I learned last year. And as I
Hmm.
say to people when I'm replying to comments on social media and even to people face to face, it is a daily intentional walk in
Yeah.
order to do the right thing. I mean, there's no joke. It just doesn't happen. You have to constantly think about it.
Yeah. I'm going to read something from this book,
Uh,
Taz. I have it highlighted for our audience over on the Amazon side. This is the second edition of her book, Stronger: How Overcoming Life's Adversities Can Push You into Your Purpose. You said this in a chapter appropriately entitled I Am Enough. It's chapter 8 in the book. And you said this, Taz, after you talked about Oprah, which you had me at Oprah. But this is what you said then, and I want to hear what the Taz of 2026 has to say about this today. You wrote this: even if we do not center our confidence in money, we can unwittingly cling to positive accomplishments as a proof that we are worth something. When my mother made that shocking statement years ago, preparing me for failure, I still initially refused to accept her words. I was convinced that I would succeed at everything I put my mind to and do, and so on the first try. After all, my church and school accomplishments were extensive. Surely I wouldn't have anything to worry about. My younger self was in for a rude awakening. I've tried many things, and as much as I would like to say that I've succeeded in every venture, and accomplish every endeavor, that is simply not the case. I have failed at some things. I have accomplished big goals, but also have failed in intermediate areas. And then you say this: admitting my own failure is actually freeing. Admitting my own humanity invigorates me to try something even bigger than I've tried before. So, Dr. Taz, how does it feel to know? Because you just mentioned one of the things you didn't get done last year that you're planning on doing this year. How does it feel to know that even if you don't check every boxes, that does not define who you are?
Cyrus, that passage is so fitting. I think that I've lived it over the last 5 or 6 months because I didn't get everything done that I wanted to get done. But when I stop and think about what I actually accomplished, I say to people sometimes, I don't know if I've said it publicly, but I will talk to people and I'll say that I write down what I do every day.
Mhm.
And the reason I do that is because when I think about the day at the end of the day, I don't think I've done anything. But when
Mm.
I take the time to write it down, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you did a lot. And if I did laundry, I put that down. If I vacuumed, everything I did, if I graded 50 assignments, I put that down. If I had 3 meetings, I put that down. If I posted something to social media, I put all of it down because for me and the way my brain is wired, I have to be able to see what I did accomplish. So when we think about what I didn't accomplish last year, I accomplished so many other things. And it doesn't mean that my plan was too grand. It just meant that I had to adjust to circumstances. And that's what I would want folks to walk away with. You can lay out your plan, but you got to
Mm.
be open, remain flexible, because when life happens or something, whatever it is, it's still life, it's life. And you got
Yeah.
to adjust, but not lose your confidence, not
Yeah.
lose your motivation. And to me, it is freeing because otherwise I'm sitting in a corner beating myself up, and we
Right.
can't have that.
Yeah. Words in cipher. Hello to you over there on IG. I am Stacy Thomas. Hello to you over there on IG as well. But let's pull back the layer on that a little bit more, Ties, because the first thing that I read there, hey, to Kenya, good to be to see you. She says hello to you as well. Dr. Ties, you start off by saying, even if we do not center our confidence in money, we can unwittingly cling to positive accomplishments as a proof that we are worth something. So again, this chapter is
Mhm.
called I am enough. What has helped you not to define yourself even by the things that you write down?
Cyrus, because really what we're getting at here is, well, for me today, because when I write something, it shifts because I'm constantly living and evolving. But when I
Yeah.
hear that today, it's like, how do I not, sometimes we seek external validation.
Yeah.
And I can't let external validation help me to feel that I positively, I can't even say that today, accomplish something. Because
Yeah.
if I do, then when someone doesn't say, oh, you did a good job, then I don't feel that I'm enough.
Yeah.
I got to know that I'm enough, even when I'm crying, my hair needs to be done, I'm tore up from the flow up, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm just not accomplishing anything that day. I still have to know that. And if I'm always looking for it externally to validate what I know, like I said, you put yourself in a vulnerable position, but that's something that you did, not
Mhm.
someone else. They just perhaps took advantage of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how is it, because this we've had these conversations before where you've written something and you either had to relive it, Ties, or relearn it,
Mhm,
or to remind yourself of it.
mhm.
Does Stronger Today feel like a reminder of what you know, but sometimes don't always appreciate and live in your life?
Oh, absolutely. Because, I that was one of the things I accomplished last year. I did the second edition. And of course, I changed quite a bit, not the story, but I added other things in.
Mhm.
Because again, we get so busy living.
Yeah.
And as human beings, once we check well, let me speak for myself. I can't speak for human beings. But when I check something off, it's like, okay, I got that.
Mhm.
So the fact that I have to go back to it, I think it shows that humanity. And one of the things that I learned last year is I don't mind sharing that with the world, that I have
Yeah.
to go back and relearn and remind myself, because to me, it shows the cycle of man's evolution and
Mhm.
how we are fragile beings. And a
Right.
friend of mine always talks about we don't want to do the bounce back 2.0. I just have it in front of me because when you started talking, I thought about it, but I was able to catch it. So it
Yeah.
wasn't completely the 2.0. But
Yeah.
that means, again, I'm constantly, intentionally, every day having to remind myself that I am enough. Don't overdo it. It's going to be there tomorrow. If you
Mhm.
can't remember it, that's okay. You weren't supposed to do it tomorrow or today.
Yeah.
And I will say this, that is very true. Before I had to step away, I had completed Real Talk with Tarzan and Jay. The book was finished. It was finished. I was doing my final edits.
Mhm.
Well, when I came back to it, my mind was different. So the things that I didn't change before, I changed them because my experiences were different. So when I
Yeah.
start talking about boundaries, and if it's talking about women or whomever, and making sure we're okay, I was looking at it from a different lens
Mhm.
because I had just gone through that and I was on the other side of it. So even with that, Cyrus, I say all that to say sometimes there's a silver lining
Right.
whatever it is that we're going through, but we be so, oh, I gotta do it, I gotta do it, because I'm talking about myself, guys, that I
Mhm.
miss the silver lining. And that just
Yeah.
happens to be an example of it.
Love that. Deborah Hunter, Deborah, it is so good to be seeing you back on my timeline
Thanks,
again.
Deborah.
Deborah says, Dr. Teresa Smith, not only are you more than enough, girl, you with that hair is the truth.
Thank you, and thank you to my stylist. She is the truth.
Oh boy. So this is the last thing I want to say about this before we move on and talk about the new book and the shows coming back is this point for our audience, Taz, because I think this is important. We hear a lot medically about pre-existing conditions. Have you gotten to a place where you can acknowledge that one of yours may be that need for that feeling like, as you mentioned in the book, that you have to get everything right, that you have to be that person who doesn't mess up, that you have to be that person? Is that something that in acknowledging that is part of that freedom that you know what you have to work against?
Yeah, it's a trauma response. See, now I would look at it as a trauma response
Yeah.
because one of the ways that I became stronger, I'm an incest survivor, had lost my sight when I was young, just, in medical things. So for me, and also, I was always going to be a doctor. Now, I
Mhm.
was always going to be a lawyer. And so everybody knew that because when they used to ask me, what are you going to do when you grow up? I was going to be a lawyer. And so that expectation, so you got trauma response. I was automatically, well, I was a good student. I love
Mhm.
school. I still love school. So you got all of that being compounded. So for me, my trauma response was to go towards something that I was just innately good at. So that meant I was accustomed to accomplishing things. And what that did was it wired my brain a certain way. Because you talk about pre-existing condition, it wired me a certain way. So what
Yeah.
I'm doing now, and I write about it, I think in one of the books about how you have to do a download, and it's like uploading, doing an update to your computer. I'm trying to do an update, a download update, because I'm going against 40 some years of this is all I know. So it
Yeah.
is so hard for me to stop doing what I've always done
Sure.
because one, it helped me to survive the incest. Two, I do it well. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
be braggadocious. Three, people noticed it. Now, I'm gonna back it up just a little bit, Sasha, before we leave this. People noticed it. I think in my younger years, I didn't understand what that meant as it related to me.
Mhm.
You notice what I can do for you, but what does that do for me? So let me say
Yeah.
it a different way. What do I have to lose in order to make you happy in what I can do?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I'm better with that part of it, but I'm not so good with my list because I got lists for years,
Yeah.
and that's pre-existing, and
Mhm.
that's the reason I say it is a intentional walk every day. I'm constantly telling myself, "No, you're not going to do that." In my head, no, just no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, love that. Chris Irvin, hello to you, Chris. Chris says, love Dr. Taz as well. Let me reset real quick, Taz, and say for those who are just tuning in, because we're about to have the show over already. You all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. This happens every time. So we just pick back
Yeah.
up like nothing's happened. Dr. Teresa A. Smith, aka Dr. Taz, is back with us. You know her as the author of books like Stronger. The second edition is out now. I just so happen to have my Transform with Taz healthy recipes here because we know all about Taz in the kitchen. I have
Yes.
my recipe book here, but her latest book is one that is literally a family affair. I'm going to highlight it again for you guys on the Amazon side, and that is Real Talk with Taz and Ajelia, two sisters' perspectives on love, life, and everything in between. Now, we know about the show that you guys have, Ties. What led you all to doing the book together?
Well, our show premiered last night, guys. It's exclusively on IG at 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and 2 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central Time. Well, the backstory is, Anjay didn't want to do this. We're 18 years apart. She didn't want to do this, and I told her she was going to do it. And so then she did it, but, she's kicking and screaming. And so I knew what she didn't know, and I think it was God, because it wasn't me, because I'm not that smart. I knew that our conversations needed to be shared because we just worked through so much stuff, and we're very different, but we're the same. I'm just older. And so we really got a lot of good feedback. Folks join us. They have questions. They make comments, during the time period that we're alive. And so I was like, okay, we need to extend the conversation and, put it in a package so that more people could experience it. And so she's like, okay, crickets. And I said, what I'm talking about, and then we're going to write a book, and we're going to take our commentary and we're going to package it in such a way so it's the next step for those who watch our show. And we have men and women watch the show, and they all be engaging, guys, because it be a lot of fun. And so we started doing that, and so that's how it really came about. And I think she's very proud of it. Because I will tell you this, Anjay drives our content. Now, folks may not realize this because she just drives it. Because I say to her, what are we going to talk about? And then she tells me. Because I know that whatever she wants to talk about, I can align with it because I do that when we're offline. And she's younger, so she knows what's going on in the real world. She plugged in. I'm not as plugged in. And so it helps me to stay plugged into what's going on also. And so, the feedback thus far, Cyrus, from folks is, I got to get it. I can't wait. And so my hope is that people will love it as much as they love our conversation when we're live.
Yeah. And this is your newest Amazon bestseller. How was that for Anjaya to have her first best-selling book?
I think she was so excited. What did she say to me? She knew it was coming, but she didn't know it was coming the way it came. And we posted about the book on like a Monday or something. I don't know what day. And within like 3 days, 3 or 4 days, it was an Amazon bestseller. And I told her, I said, "You're a bestseller." And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And when I told her it was live last week, I said, "The book is live." I said, "I've ordered my copy." I said, "You need to order your copy." And then when it came, I took a picture of it and sent it to her. She's like, "I can't believe it." I'm like, "Yeah. I said, as a friend of mine would say, you put the work in and then you get the results. I'm like, we put the work in, because she's still raising kids. My niece is going to be in a play this spring. So I'm already trying to figure out our schedule because that's practices, and we want to support her. So it's like, you've done it. You're a single mother raising 2 girls and you've done this. But that speaks to perseverance, that speaks to focus, and it speaks to walking in your calling, even though you don't know it's your calling sometimes.
Yeah. It's interesting when you were just talking about her being a single mother, I thought about because I'm almost through with the book already. And one of the things that you all talk about, which I didn't realize was in the book, was church hurt.
Yeah.
And I thought about it when you were mentioning her being a single parent because she talks about that in the book. Those are important conversations. So, what do you hope then, Ties, for the audience when they pick up this book? Yes, it's 2 sisters, but what do you hope it does for them and the conversations they have with themselves and those around them too?
I hope that they can use it as a conversation starter. One, to
Okay.
let them know that they're not alone. And if they want to reach out to us, please do. 2, maybe share someone else's story with whomever so that they can see how it impacts individuals. And then again, open the door for conversation. There's so much hurt, church pain, there's so much generational curses that we still deal with as a society. And so my hope is that people will look at this book and others that I've written as a way to start that conversation. Because if you can start the conversation, it may not be resolved in one sitting, but hopefully you're further along in that process, because pain is real and trauma is real. And we continue to respond sometimes out of our trauma because we're never able to resolve it or even vocalize it. Because sometimes you can't resolve something, but can I at least put a voice to it? And we're hoping that if the book resonates with people for whatever particular point, that they're able to put their voice to it and it supports
Mhm.
them along their journey.
Love that. The last thing I want to talk to you about, Taz, is this media company. It's so funny. I didn't realize this was going to happen, right? Because one of the shows I debuted in 2025 that's going on, of course, this year is Daily Dose of Good News. And we kicked it off by sharing the interviews
Yes.
of the individuals who were part of that big day. And it just so happened, if you believe in things just so happening, today's episode, when I went to do it today, was your episode. Yeah.
Oh,
And I literally went in order from the first person to, and you were number 45. That was our 45th episode today. And you were, and I said,
look
what are
at
the odds of that?
God.
Because when you and I set this up, I
Mm-mm.
didn't know that. I didn't know who was going to be the guest on the other show, but I thought that was so funny. So you guys are probably seeing double of ties today on whatever platform you're on, because we had our episode of Daily Dose of Good News where you saw our last sit down interview in person together. And now, of course, you're seeing our live interview today for 2026. So I was going to bring up a point from that. The reason why I brought that up, Taz, is we talked about in that interview about you building a media company. Talk to us about that. How does that feel to sit with, as you beginning 2026, the media company that you're building, and what can we expect from that this year?
Cyrus, I'm thinking many moons ago, several decades ago, I knew I wanted a show. I didn't really know what it would be, but I wanted a show. And I've always been very artsy, guys. Um, I just have always been very artsy, but in a different sort of way. And I always knew I wanted a show. And Oprah was she was the roadmap, because I'm like talking 1985 now, guys. I'm talking years ago. She was the
Mhm.
roadmap for me as a Black girl. And so, fast forward, think about what she did, all the shows, all the individuals that she was able to bring to the world, then
Mhm.
her own network. And sitting here now, thinking about the 3 or 4 shows that I have, um, the blogs, the the editing, the this, the that, and something else that I'm working on, is humbling.
Mhm.
And as one of our friends, I think it's Melissa, says, God can dream bigger than we could ever imagine. Because I was
Right.
thinking about one show,
Mhm.
and now it's blossomed to a full network. So for me, one, I'm very grateful to God for giving me the ability to do this. Two, me being flexible, because things are different now. So you got to adjust to the
Yeah.
time. And that's so important. And then I'm so happy that people are responsive to the content that I'm generating, because I've had to learn you're not generating for you, Teresa. You got to keep
Mm.
your audience in mind. And that's the hardest thing for me, too, because I got to flip my brain around and see it a different way. And to know that I'm actually generating content that the audience likes. To me,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, oh my God, I'm going to do it. Oh, they got a car, they got a car, they got a car, they got a car. I get a car because I'm now, the synergy is coming together. And that's
Good.
so important when you do so much work and
Mhm.
you want to make a difference in the world. So I'm humble. Cyrus, I think somebody says it could be an open thing. We're going to run on and see what the end's going to be, because the sky's the limit, because I don't know what's
Right.
going to happen. But I know
True.
it's going to be hopefully impactful for other people, because that's the goal.
I love that. Again, everyone, Dr. Teresa A. Smith, aka Dr. Taz, has been our guest. Again, all of her books are available here on Amazon, including her newest one with her sister. Again, Real Talk with Taz and Angelia, two sister perspectives on love, life, and everything in between. Also, of course, the other books I mentioned that I have here and others are there on Amazon as well. Taz, great catching up with you. Let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you and keep up with everything?
Well, the simplest way is to follow me on YouTube because all my shows are there. And that's Dr. DRTAS, Dr. Taj. You can find me there. And then follow me on IG, Dr. Teresa Smith. You'll see my Linktree bio there. And it has all the information for my for how to stay in contact with me, whether you want an editing advice, whether you want to be on my Talk with Taj show, or you want to just talk with me about something else. So everything that you need is right there.
All right. Well, Taz, congratulations to you. So glad to be able to kick off this year with another great conversation and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you, Cyrus.
More than welcome. And we thank you, our audience, for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, y'all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.